Speaking of, I wonder how much I've spent this month. Suddenly, when checking my credit card usage, an incredible amount showed up in the transaction history. Upon investigation, it was revealed that my husband had been lavishing gifts on his mistress, taking advantage of my carefree nature. He used my credit card to shower his mistress with whatever she wanted. Cheating on another woman using my credit card? You gotta be kidding me. I will get my revenge. Mark my words. My name is Catherine, 29 years old. Currently, I work as a freelancer. I've always disliked the idea of being an employee, so I chose the path of freelancing, where I could use my skills. I worked hard to get various certifications since I was in college. It was around that time that I met my husband, Bob. Bob and I went to the same college, and it seems he had always known about me. He fell for me while I was studying for my certifications in the college library. He asked me out many times, but I wanted to focus on my studies, so I kept turning him down throughout college. Still, he didn't give up, continued to woo me even after we started working, and eventually, I decided to date him. Afterward, I became a freelancer, and he started working for a regular company. After 3 years of working, we got married, and it was 4 years ago. And now, we lead a somewhat unique married life. Generally, I work from home, but since I was never good at housework, Bob and I shared the chores. Thankfully, I have been getting a lot of work assignments recently. When I was on tight deadlines, Bob would take care of almost all the housework. One day, while I was working in my room, there was a knock on the door, and Bob called out, "Catherine, dinner's ready." "Ah, thank you. I'll wrap up in a bit." "Got it. I'll clean the bathroom while waiting for you to finish." "Much appreciated." "Thanks, Bob." "It's no problem. You're the one earning for us. Let me at least do the chores during busy times." "Okay, thank you." As my husband said, I do earn a considerable amount. Not to brag, but I earn more than triple what my husband does working for a regular company, so I cover most of our living expenses. If my husband pays for anything, it's the occasional dining out. I pay for everything from the apartment rent to utility bills. Friends who know about our lifestyle always exclaim, "That's unbelievable!" But I never really had any complaints, because I don't have any material desires. I mostly save the money I earn. I work because I enjoy it, not because I want money. So I didn't really mind carrying most of the financial load. And I even felt grateful to my husband, who understood and supported my way of working. Then, one day, while I was working at home, a package arrived. The contents of the package addressed to me was a brand new computer. Given my line of work, a computer is indispensable. I immediately finished setting it up and started working with a renewed spirit. During a break, a thought crossed my mind. Speaking of which, how much did this computer cost again? I bought it last month, and I've already thrown away the receipt. It's embarrassing, but I am quite a careless person and do not have a habit of keeping track of household expenses. I have no clue how much I'm spending each month. To check my card usage, I logged into my card company's app on my phone. Looking at the statement, which I hadn't done in several months, I thought, I'm not spending as much as I thought. This computer, by the way, was purchased with my main credit card. I have another credit card in my name, which is used for daily expenses and groceries, so my husband usually carries it around. I might as well check the usage of that card too. When I checked the statement on my phone, an unbelievable amount was displayed. What? $3,200? What the heck is this? The usage last month was a whopping $3,200. That's twice the price of the computer I bought. I quickly checked other months and found that between $2,000 and $4,000 had been charged in recent months. This can't just be from living expenses. To my surprise, most of the card usage was at high-end stores for women's items. I've never received any luxury brand items from my husband. I had never suspected my husband before, but this is too strange. No way. Is Bob having an affair? The shocking reality made my head spin. Despite the shock, curiosity got the better of me, and I began to meticulously check each statement. Looking in more detail, I found charges from a travel booking site. He seemed to be booking frequently on the site, spending a considerable amount on accommodations. With a sinking feeling, I quickly checked the calendar. Sure enough, a few days after using the travel site, my husband was always going on business trips. I don't want to believe it, but with all this evidence, it's hard to dismiss it as a misunderstanding. How could this happen? Why? With a poker face, was he lavishing his mistress with my credit card? But I guess I loved my husband more than I thought. I just couldn't believe it, and I wanted to deny it somehow. This might just be him fronting the company's travel expenses. Maybe he bought something to surprise me and is hiding it. As I thought of these unlikely possibilities, I tried to deceive myself for a few days. At my wit's end, I needed reassurance, and ended up checking his phone while he was asleep. Praying, I opened his messaging app, and sure enough, there was evidence of him getting along well with a woman who seemed to be his mistress. I'll buy anything for you. My workaholic wife is the one earning it. LOL. Bob, you're the best. I want Louis Vuitton's new bag next. Of course I'll buy it for you. Looking forward to our trip next month, too. The inn we stayed at last time was great, but next time we're going abroad. I can't wait till next month. This time, we're going to take it easy and deepen our love. Just the two of us. The moment I finished reading everything, a surge of indignation consumed me. An array of disgusting remarks, unimaginable from my normally cool husband Bob, made me feel sick. By this time, my feelings towards Bob had shifted from sadness to anger. A workaholic wife? That must be me he's talking about. A trip next month? Abroad? Just how much can a person ridicule someone else? I thought he understood my job, but in the end, he only saw me as his cash cow. Being taken for granted to this extent? It's unforgivable. If he's thinking that way, well, I have my own idea too. And so, I decided to take my revenge on them. While checking their vacation schedule, I started preparing for my revenge. A week later, to prevent my revenge from being discovered, I was living as ordinarily as possible. Sure enough, when Bob came back from work, he started the conversation with an apologetic look. Hey, I'm sorry for the sudden notice, but I have to go on a business trip abroad next month. Inside, I was thinking, gotcha. But I responded calmly. A business trip abroad? That's unusual. You've always been on domestic trips. Well, our company is expanding its business overseas, too. Oh, really? That's impressive. Being chosen for such an important trip. Well, yeah. Of course, Bob doesn't have the skills to do such an assignment. His company is a small general enterprise, and there's no way it's expanding overseas. As I watched Bob, he brought up this. Oh, by the way, I'm going to use your credit card for personal shopping during the trip. I see. I know it's tough to go abroad, but do your best on your trip. Thanks. Sorry, Catherine, but I'll need you to take care of the payments. At Bob's words, I just smiled, without saying, okay, or I understand. Seeing my reaction, Bob also beamed at me. According to Bob, he doesn't know when the trip will end. He said he would notify me of the return schedule as soon as it was decided. I can't believe he can lie with such a straight face. Almost admiring it, I simply replied, understood, and we ended our conversation. The day of his trip, Bob put on his shoes at the entrance, looked at me, and said with a smile, I'm off. Are you really going? What's the matter, Catherine? Are you gonna miss me? It's not like that, but I wonder if you're really going. It's work. Understand that. I'll buy you a souvenir. Insisting it's a business trip while actually it's vacation with mistress? And still, he was trying to lure me with a souvenir. To him, I coldly responded, Take care now. Bye-bye. At those words, my husband wore a curious expression, but ultimately said, I'm heading out, and left our home in high spirits. From there, I began hastily tidying up the house. I packed all my belongings into boxes and shipped them to my parents' place. I had already informed my parents that I was divorcing Bob and would be leaving this house. While my mom and dad were furious with Bob, akin to a roaring blaze, I explained to them that I had a plan for vengeance on my own and would hire a lawyer to collect the money he used on his mistress. In particular, my father seemed ready to vent his anger directly on my husband, but I persuaded him to keep a lid on it for now. A few hours later, I just landed! came a message from my husband. At that moment, I contacted the credit card company. "I've lost my card and would like to halt its usage," I explained, and the procedure was completed promptly. Now my husband wouldn't be able to use his credit card during his trip abroad. His mistress, who was using him like an ATM, must be frustrated as hell. While imagining that, I received an international call from my husband, as expected. When I answered, he sounded frantic, demanding, "What's going on?" To his panic in question, I intentionally asked back in a puzzled tone, "What do you mean? What's up? My card isn't working." "Really now?" "What do you mean, really now? Haven't you heard about any issues with it?" "Issues?" "It's bizarre! I was able to use it to buy my plane ticket." Annoyed, my husband complained, to which I calmly explained, "It's not a glitch. I contacted the car company and had your card stopped." What? Come on, Catherine. Quit joking around. Why would I joke about this? Clearly, your card isn't working. Isn't that obvious? Over the phone, my husband seemed bewildered for a moment, but quickly realized the gravity of the situation. He was so startled that he yelled at me with a volume I'd never heard before. "Stop messing around! I told you I'd be using the card during my business trip, didn't I?" "Oh, did you mention something like that?" "Why the hell would you cancel it then? I can't pay for my accommodation or buy anything now." "Yup, that's true. But did I say you could use it?" "What? You? Stop messing around!" "In the first place, why should I cover the expenses for your little affair?" At those words, my husband was rendered speechless. He probably hadn't even considered that I was aware of his infidelity. "Why? No, since when?" he stammered, his voice shaking with confusion. To that, I cut in. "Anyway, I'm divorcing you." "What? Divorce? You're joking, right?" Why would I lie about it at this point? I can't be married to someone who cheats. "No! Wait! I didn't mean..." "Whatever your intentions are, it doesn't matter. I've already hired a lawyer, so if you need to talk to me about anything, go through him. Goodbye." As I went to hang up, my husband cried out in desperation, "Wait! Please!" It seemed he had finally caught on an important fact. His voice shaking, he pleaded with me. "What happens if the card is blocked? How am I supposed to get home?" "You finally realized? You mean, Catherine, you did it knowing all about it?" "Of course. Did you think I wasn't checking the credit card statements?" "No! No way!" My husband's alarmed voice must have reached his companion, because a woman's voice suddenly shrieks from the other end of the line. "Hey, what's going on?" And desperately, he was trying to calm her down. Just hang on a second. I'll sort this out." "And how do you plan on doing that if we can't get back to Japan? You're going to take responsibility for this. You're totally useless." He seemed terrified at the idea of their relationship falling apart. With a pleading voice, he begged me for help. "Please, Catherine! Please forgive me." "Forgive you? Not a chance." "Don't say that! Please! We won't be able to go back to Japan if things stay like this. You heard her, didn't you? Please, for my sake." "Huh? For your sake? Wow, you've never pleaded like that for me." He prioritizes his own security, and that of his mistress over an apology to me. I had lost all patience with him, and let him have it with some cold, hard words. Why should I spend my money on you and your lover? It's ridiculous, however you look at it. "But blocking my card is harsh. I'm overseas, you know. What am I supposed to do if I can't get back home? What about my job?" Are you serious? Before we talk about your job, how about an "I'm sorry"? How much more do you plan to insult me? I'm not working for the likes of you, you scum. Catherine, please, calm down. Shut up. Just so you know, I won't forgive you, no matter what. I'll make you pay me back every penny you spent on her. I'll do whatever it takes to ruin you. Understand? So just stay out of my life forever, you cheating piece of trash. I hung up without waiting for a reply, blocked his number, and completely cut off all communication with him. Not long after, our divorce was finalized. He was initially resistant to the idea of divorce, but after a stern talk from his parents-in-law, he reluctantly agreed. I heard that after our call, he had a huge fight with his mistress at the airport. It turned out she had other men too, and she dumped him, getting money from her multiple suitors, and returned to Japan alone. Left behind, my ex-husband had no choice but to contact his parents and have them deposit money into his credit card account so he could return home. Word of their affair spread quickly around the office, as she also worked there. "Did you hear? Those two were having an affair. He's married too. How could he do that? I heard she's been seeing many men." "Seems like it. She moved on to another married man and dumped him, just like that." I have no sympathy for him. As a result, his mistress, a temp worker, got her contract terminated, and Bob was moved to a less relevant position at work. His salary dropped as well, making it a total mess for him. No matter how this turns out, I'm determined to have both of them pay me what they owe me in full. Of course, I intend to recover all the money that Bob has spent so far. I won't hear any excuses for not being able to pay. I'll do whatever it takes to squeeze every last penny out of them. They can regret their carefree affair as much as they want. As for me, I've moved back to my parents' house, and I'm living with them now. Once the issue of the damages is settled, I plan to live comfortably by myself. From now on, I want to dedicate myself entirely to the work I love.